Hello friends, and welcome back to another video. My name is Samantha, positivity guru and host of Coffee Talks with Samantha. Side note, I just want to point out real quick that I hope you guys realize the positivity guru thing is nothing but maybe a joke. It's just a little spin-off of beauty guru. Obviously, I haven't had any formal training and I'm sure that can come out in my videos sometimes, but I'm just going through it and I'm trying to help you go through it too, you know? It's positivity time, positivity guru. It's let me live. You might have noticed we're in a different setting, and that is because I am in my new apartment. This is the desk that I slaved over for about 5 hours. And now it's mildly decorated and ready for filming. But for today's video, I wanted to jump into the spookies. Back in my tattoo tour video, I briefly mentioned that I've always been really into ghosts and the supernatural and whatnot, everything otherworldly, and I asked if you guys would like to see my ghost story videos. I did get a few comments asking for me to make those videos for you guys, and if I had everything in one video, it would probably be like an hour long, which is not foreign on my channel, but I'm not gonna put you through that. I think I'm gonna divide this into 2 videos. I think, maybe 3. But today, we're going to go in chronological order. We're gonna talk about things before I was born and the potential of me being a reincarnation of a witch. So in order to explain this, obviously I'll have to go back in time quite a bit. There was this man who I'm going to call Tim in this video, but Tim was this older man who had this nice house in a town a few towns over from my hometown. How many times can I say town in one sentence? And his acreage was big enough to have multiple houses on it, and he just had his house and a trailer, and he rented that trailer to my uncle, or great uncle actually, great uncle, yes, older, older. The way that the property was set up was that this man's house was on top of a hill, and then there was a slope that went down, and that's where the trailer was, so it had its own driveway and everything. And because of this, my Uncle Roy and Tim were pretty close. Now, Tim was known for being a little odd in the town, and his nickname was, oh gosh, do I have to come up with a different town name? For the sake of this video, I'm going to call him the Witch of Waverly Place. And I'm not just saying that because I'm trying to play off of wizards. He literally was called the Witch of this town. And I'm not sure why. I don't know if it was just his gender preferences or where the lines of communication were crossed, if anything. But my entire life, everything I've looked up, it's always been Witch of Waverly Place. So he was a town celebrity because of that, and not exactly in a good way. He was doing his own thing on top of a hill in his house, you know, just being the Witch of Waverly Place. But again, since he was on the same property as my great uncle, they were tight, and my great uncle brought him to a barbecue. And this was a family barbecue of which my pregnant mother was in attendance. So my mother at the time was pregnant with my older sister Shannon. At the time, she had gotten quite a few ultrasounds, and all of the tests they've done were reading that the child she was pregnant with was a boy. And I know, at least in my experience from communicating with other people, it can be common that the gender is mistaken, but my mother had had multiple at this point, and literally a week before this happened, she had an ultrasound that read that the child in her uterus had male parts. So she was very convinced it was a male. But she arrives to this party, and everyone close to her, different friends and family, they were like,
"There's this man named Tim here. Do not speak to him. Do not look at him. Don't look him in the eye, especially because he will read your soul."
And my mother, being my my mother walked straight up to this man and was like, "Hello, Tim, I'm Wendy." So, of course, they get to chatting, and my mother just wanted to see what his deal was, if he was legit, what he was all about. I think at that point she had heard of his existence at least, because, again, my great uncle Roy and Tim lived on the same plot of land, but I don't think she'd ever physically seen him. Again, they got to chatting, and he blurted out, completely irrelevant to their current conversation, and was like,
"So you're having a beautiful baby girl. I'm so excited for you. That's so great."
and then my mom was like, "It's gonna be a boy, thanks." And he was just like, "Oh, no, you're having a girl, and you're gonna name her Samantha, aren't you?" And my mom was like, and snapped out of it and was like, "No, I'm having a boy, thank you. I just had an ultrasound last week. I'm gonna go get some potato salad, whatever," and peaced out. Fast forward a few weeks or months at this point, like, because, I mean, a barbecue could happen anytime it's nice out. But we're going to fast forward to July 16th, the birth of my sister. Not brother like they so expected, sister. My mother hadn't expressed this story to anyone because she was equal parts freaked out and in disbelief. She had a feeling that it could be correct, but she also was just like, "This guy's crazy. Like, I'm gonna trust the doctors." So then when she gives birth to a beautiful little girl, my grandmother, who was in the room, was like,
"Oh, Wendy, it's the Samantha you've always wanted."
and my mother immediately was just like, "Nope, not today, Satan. I'm not having a double child. Oh my God." I don't know how she landed on Shannon, but then she was Shannon. And so within the 6 years between my sister's birth and my birth, Tim lost his marbles. And the way that this happened, like I've said, it's on my camera. Something on my camera just snapped. I can't figure out what it is. Ghosts. This man, since he was on the same plot of land as my Uncle Roy, it was easy for him to see like down and see all of the entire business of my Uncle Roy's trailer, but Uncle Roy couldn't really see too much when he looked up the hill, whatever. And one day when my Uncle Roy left to go grocery shopping, I believe, his house became engulfed in flames. Now, if you understand like the material of a trailer, like that shit burns real fast. Tim runs down to go see what's going on because he wanted to see if he could prevent anything from getting further damaged. And he opens the door because, from what I believe, the flames were at the back of the house. When he opened the door, he claims to have seen the steps of Satan going into the fire. And he lost it. Like, seeing that, witnessing that, Tim went on to board up all of the windows in his house. And he painted his entire house over to look like a gingerbread house. He painted squiggles as if they were icing on the corners, and then like gumdrops on the windows. He went crazy on it. Not only that, but he painted owls up all the trees surrounding his house. It was like he lived in a completely different world from there on out. And he started going into churches and screaming at their crosses, telling them to take it down. Satan was coming and he wasn't happy about all the crosses everywhere. Eventually got booked in some sort of mental health facility, and there is when he was interviewed, saying that he saw the steps of Satan and that like everything was coming back to him, like karma, whatever, because like I guess when he was practicing witchcraft it wasn't the safest of things and it wasn't exactly the most lighthearted of things, like more in the dark arts and whatnot. And he ended up passing away at this mental health facility while he was still an inpatient. And a couple of years later, my mom got pregnant with little old me, and I'm not sure if it was a mutual decision because I think my dad also really loved the name Samantha. Conveniently enough, he always told me I was named after Bewitched, which is a witch. But my mom came to tell me the story when I was older, after I started having a bunch of ghostly experiences, because at first I didn't understand what I was experiencing, and I didn't realize when I was younger that it wasn't normal for other people to experience these things. So that's when I started telling her everything, and she told me everything, and she even brought me to this house because I think it was either still owned by the family or owned by the city, so no one could tear it down, but half of the house fell down the back of the hill, so you could see up into it. So we were mildly trespassing, but that's okay. And then my mom lives for the drama of it all, and she was like, do you feel like you're home? Do you want to come on Halloween? Do you want to play with the Ouija board here to see if you can talk to yourself? Because at that point in time, I was very convinced that I was the reincarnation of this good old Tim, because he predicted my existence. And then I went on to be a very spiritually inclined person. There was a point in my childhood where we thought that I could be a medium, and though I don't know if I could still access that, it never came to a head. I never feel like I can communicate with the other side, I just feel connected. Does that make any sense? So that's the story of how I am potentially the reincarnation of a witch. Leave your comments down below if you think that Tim was right, and if I am Tim, Tim is me, I don't know. And give this video a like if you're excited for the second half of these stories. I just figured the prelude to why I'm like this was a little more important before I jump into the stories themselves, to give you context of I was born this way, literally. But please share, and subscribe if you're into this kind of thing. I'm not always spooky. A lot of it's positivity based and motivation based. Like I said earlier, trying to help you go through it by me learning through what I'm going through, and we just help each other, and just join the family, join the love. And with that, stay positive, my friends, and have a wonderful last day.